This is a similar conversation I was having with Ryan this morning, actually, which is like Ethereum people once upon a time will just like laugh at the Bitcoiners because like, man, you guys are doomers. Like you guys are hoping that doom happens so that your bags can go up. That's an inherently pessimistic version of the world. In Ethereum land, we're so much more optimistic. We like growth. We want to grow things on-chain economy.
Now you're like global seizures, baby.
But now in contrast to like the archetypes of the younger generation of crypto cohorts that find Solana this attractive, shiny new toy. Solana is like way more optimistic on Ethereum because like, come on, like is Solana going to hold up against nation state attacks? Like they don't even talk about this in their ethos. And it also doesn't matter because no nation state is attacking Solana. So it's even more just like kind of trusting of the world that it exists in. It's less priorities on censorship resistance. It's less DeFi, more open finance, which is like
fintech.
It's fintech. It's more fintechy, and it's working just fine. Nothing's going after it. And so now, in that contrast, Ethereum is like, oh, but like when the nation states come, y'all are fucked though. And it's an inherently, by contrast, like more doomer vision of the world because Ethereum has prioritized so much on just like censorship resistance, multi-client architecture, credible neutrality, World War III level attack. And, if World War III never comes, then maybe all of that effort was wasted.
I think I have maybe a somewhat heretical opinion here to share, which is I don't think that any blockchain is nation state resistant.
Even Bitcoin?
Even Bitcoin.
Oh, definitely not Bitcoin.
I don't know.
Actually, no, I would actually rank Ethereum higher than Bitcoin here.
I mean, I don't know if you guys just saw this Hezbollah attack where they exploded the pagers and then turned out they hadn't tampered with the pagers. They just manufactured them.
Yeah.
It's actually so insane.
And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, I don't think any of these things like would really withstand. But what I do think the end game is for crypto networks is you kind of see parallels of it with like the Swifts of the world. There is some precedent in the financial system for credible neutrality. Like there are these shared bits of infrastructure that aren't fully owned by any one country. Swift is an example, although it's heavily leaned on by the United States. It basically is. But I think one of the things that you could do, like one goal for crypto could be, is to say, hey, we're going to become big enough that there's enough financial activity that's happening here, and there's enough apps, and people are a bit like that. It would be like shutting ourselves off from this instead of actually, trying to actually lock it down and prevent it. I don't know. I kind of think the way to winning this thing is winning hearts and minds, not. Maybe I'd be in the heretical camp of like, I don't think designing for World War III actually makes a lot of sense because I think that nation states could blow this stuff up if they wanted to.
I don't know. I'm not sure I totally agree with you. Obviously, like it's very hard to speculate on something like this, especially around like the networking layer. But I do think there's an interesting point to be made here, which is like if you look at the kind of early protocols of the internet, like you have BitTorrent, which is like the censorship resistant, impossible to shut down. And like they tried to shut it down, right? It's just like the information wants to be free. And I still feel like the value wants to be free is going to be there. But so this is kind of like the pro side. The con side is like, how much value is BitTorrent actually adding to the world? Like, is it that pro-social? Like, sure. If Netflix and Spotify and the main distribution channels of content started raking people in a way that like, they had to go back to like a free distribution channel, then sure, it kind of like serves as a check and balance on that power. But still like 99.99999% of content is consumed on centralized platforms from like the main clearinghouse. So
the worst thing to happen to BitTorrent was Spotify. Like I was a big torrenter way back in the day. And I mean, it was kind of clunky. Like you would get low quality files. You would get files with like
extra files.
Voiceovers in it that weren't a part of it, that were just an ad. And then Spotify came, and for $10 a month, you can get all the music, and it's like a nice curated platform. And to your point, like actually maybe the reason why Spotify is only $10 a month instead of $40 a month or $400 a month is because BitTorrent exists. Like the alternative is a check.
There is a counterfactual. But the counterfactual makes no value. Like it doesn't actually capture anything. It just exists. How do you price the social value of having an alternative? I mean, I still do think this has all been like very bearish. I don't know. I still do believe that value kind of the monetary system and of a digital property manifestation rather than just pure data will be stronger in terms of like preserving individual rights. And like, obviously the copyright rules are basically what suffered here. It's like you didn't have any digital property. And so the seeding and kind of distribution channels just get very spread. But yeah, I think for value and money, like these, it's not comparing apples and apples. So I think it's worth kind of at least pointing that out.
I think there's a super bullish story to tell here, which is, I mean, again, this is just the way that I look at the world. But if you look at everything from the lens of what we're reinventing or creating a better version of here is money and a financial system, that is massive, right? That's not like a small thing. And if you view the driver of that as, hey, the debt and the issues with the way that money works today is actually going to push more and more people into this system, then there's a really close linkage in between the money that sits at the center of a financial system and the financial infrastructure that's built around it, right? The issuer of US dollars is the US government and the central bank, right? But then you've got these network of commercial banks that sprung up around it, and they're the ones that actually control the money supply. They custody all of the money. They're basically, it's very, very closely interlinked, linked and related. And we have actually done something a little bit weird in crypto, which is because there's an issue with that money, we created the money first, right? And we just like, hey, we've got this commodity money that's really has these really great properties. And we're in the beginning stages of building financial infrastructure around it. That's why all the apps that have really taken off have something to do with, hey, I want to do something with my money. It's like Uniswap, I want to trade my money, or Aave, hey, I want to get a loan against my money, right? That's why we're in the beginning stages of that. And if we have a better money that has better properties than exist today, and the financial infrastructure around that is much better, then if we have, I guess one way to look at like a bright future for this new economy is, what could you do in an economy if you had better money and 100 times better financial system? What businesses could you build in that world that you couldn't build today? And that's the part where, you know, you can't really talk about it on a podcast because a lot of that hasn't been built yet, but that is the vision that's what excites me about crypto.
Thanks for bringing us back there, Mike.
Yeah, I got you. We need a little bit of bull energy there.
No, but I mean, this is fundamentally the foundational argument I tried to make in the ethicist too, which is like fundamentally like this is a technology, but it's also like a coordination engine. And money is fundamentally, like you guys have said for a long time, it's like a subjective thing. It's intersubjective. It's a shared collective story. And I think Ethereum is telling a very credible story for why it should be money in a way that, like, you know, is super valuable. I think it's extremely pro-social and I still believe in it.
One thing that I think is missing from this like money story in Ethereum, like this conversation in the last few months and in with like the Max Kyle episodes and then the rebuttal to these episodes is all about like layer ones and value capture and the moneyness around this thing. But what's been missing is like, honestly, like DeFi hasn't had like a renaissance in a really long time. And a lot of monetary properties come out of DeFi. Like MakerDAO was the first ETH is money application, followed by like the you know Uniswap, Aave, Compound, like Frax, all these newer ones, and then we built DeFi 1.0. Tried to build DeFi 2.0. Turned out that was a Ponzi.
Oops.
And whoopsies. Happens. Happens to the best of us. And like we're starting to get some like DeFi like apps like Sorella. Sorella's like making Uniswap LPing great again. But like I wouldn't really ever call it the same level of just like 0 to 1 moment that we had with DeFi. And the moneyness conversations kind of stopped with like DeFi 1.0, I would say. And so that like, I don't really know how much more juice. Maybe we just like need to get back on track with building DeFi. Maybe like DeFi 1.0 is actually most of it. And there's not that much more. Like, I don't really know if you guys have thoughts here.
I have thoughts. I think the coins need to go up. And once the coins go up, people will come in and they will build cool stuff. And that's how I really think
that's what DeFi 2.0
But here's the cool thing. Here's just cause on the track of being bullish. What we haven't had before is a bunch of very abundant, very cheap, high quality block space. We have never had that before going into a bull market. We were severely constrained seriously, just rewind the clock back to 2020. Like there was Ethereum, which was great. But that was really the only network that you wanted to build on. And, you know, we didn't even have 1559. There were all of these challenges. Like we are in such a different place now. And I just think we're going to get a bunch of really cool stuff to surprise us to the upside.
Vitalik had a tweet, I think 4 or 5 days ago, that was basically exactly this, which is, you know, he pulled up.
Me and Vitalik were always saying the same stuff.
2 sides of the same
We're always saying the same thing.
But the tweet was basically like a time series showing, L2 fees.
Yeah.
And, there's a clear point. April 2024.
Right.
Proto-Dank sharding goes live and fees just go to zero. And it's been 5 months.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I get it. Like the price is down, whatever. People are feeling end of summer angst. But like we are at the beginning of an abundant block space era. And I do think Ethereum block space is like super valuable. People are going to build on it. Like it's going to be a Cambrian explosion, hopefully, when like the real, bull market picks up again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. If you enjoyed all of that, then you'll absolutely love the Bankless newsletter. Join over 300,000 fellow readers, all for free. Click below to sign up.